A situation where we're talking about the end of the season, and we want to hear just a summarized version. I know because you are a home team, and that's why I'm employed. I know that we'll be having press conferences to articulate further some of the things, but for this particular press conference, in a nutshell, what happened this season?
Yeah, thanks, Pravi, and thanks to the members of the media. Yeah, look, I think we started the season very promising. We look like we want to compete, but unfortunately, with the number of injuries and inconsistency, I think the squad and unforeseen circumstances that we couldn't control, that were beyond our control, and that also, played a huge role in not allowing us and certain players who were new into the setup to settle. And we'd play maybe 2-3 games and do well, and look like what we're trying to do is getting better and improving. Then from there you lose about 2 players again, then we have to reshuffle the squad. At some point we played with the makeshift defense because we had lost nearly all the fullbacks were not available. We had to push Sia at some point, maybe Zita, if I'm not mistaken. So did alone tell you that it's been a very, very difficult season on our side, and hence the results were inconsistent. Simply because of that, we just wished and hoped that at some point at least play 4 or 5, more than 7 games or 8 games with one team where it can be clear as to what is it that you want to achieve, and then also bring in other players, those who are new into the setup, who are still maybe trying to adapt, because it was never going to be easy for them, in a massive brand like Kaizer Chiefs, and also just come in and hit the ground running. And you must have seen we've displayed some top performances in some of the games, but we couldn't keep up with that because of the demands. And we understand that most of the players, where they come from, they would play 4 or 5 games and do well, and if they don't win maybe the 5th one, or they don't do well the 5th one, and it's understandable, but not at Kaizer Chiefs. And those were the things we were still trying to work on, also making the players understand and mentally, help them to be strong. And some, they were to adapt very quickly, and others obviously they would take longer, and unfortunately others got injured. And it was the story of our season. And even when actually we got the opportunities, I think this is one season that we created a lot of opportunities. We wouldn't be in this situation as we take in maybe half of those goal scoring opportunities we've created, even when we still defended very badly. According to me, yes, we've got quite a few clean sheets, and we had games where when we were supposed to just take the chances and win the game. And so, as I said, it was a hard learning for us, as much as it was a season that there were positives for the fact that it was a new team, new technical team, and it gave us hope in a way. For us, getting to the first semi-final, we thought we could get to the semi-final. To the final in MTN 8, and we drew against Amazulu here at home and away, and away goal kicked us out. We couldn't go to the final. Then we gave ourselves, the opportunity again from the last 32 and all the way to the last 4, and we thought this time is our chance, and again it wasn't to be. And everything that happens for me happened for a reason, and it wasn't to be. But like I said, I think the players, they gave their all for the fact that they come from different backgrounds, different environment and mindset as well. So Kaizer Chiefs is a massive brand, and the challenges are not the same.
Thank you, Coach. Now, Coach, get into this game. You lost against the Cape Town City at home. Your feeling and your summarized version of what happened in the 90 minutes.
Yeah, look, we had a lot to play for. For us, though, it was not going to be good enough. But we were playing for 3 points. We were playing to consolidate our position, and we didn't do that. And obviously, I'm disappointed, but I also feel sorry for these players. I think they gave everything. They were adamant. They had the belief that we will go all the way to the final, and from that game we never recovered. And when I look at them today, they tried, but our best was not good enough. We had the advantage again in this game. We tried to make few changes so that we can create width and have depth and try to penetrate, in all angles. And we didn't pick the right pass and also create the space enough. And that tactical flexibility, I think, also was not up to scratch. So, yeah, we didn't show that we were playing to even a draw. Though for me, a draw was not good enough. We wanted to win. When we're at Kaizer Chiefs, you always want to win. But as a player, sometimes you think and say, okay, we've got the opportunity to remain in the 4th spot. It counts a lot. It can change your mindset going forward. And we didn't show that. And yeah, it's one of those things. And players will keep learning because football will never stop learning.
Thank you, Coach. Well, 2, 3 questions and we close. We'll start. Let's start with Lena.
Coach, see us from kickoff. Hard luck on the bus. Just to ask Coach about Kama Billiard, who we know has worked very hard to come back to the team, and then we saw him for a bit, and then did not come back in the second half.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Brasia. Look, it's sad. It's sad when you see a quality player like Kama, suffering from injuries. He was actually supposed to come back in 2 weeks back, and we anticipated that he should be ready against just a week before the semi-final, and we wanted to build him up. And to be quite honest, even today, if we had all the other players available, we wouldn't go like risk Kama. And the plan also, to be quite honest, was to play him 20 minutes and then build him up going forward. Unfortunately, we found ourselves in a situation where we didn't have now striker when we lost Ash, and we needed a player of his quality, And I even said to him, listen, I don't want you to make too many runs because now we're trying to build you. We need your quality in holding the ball and connecting with whoever that is coming, and then create space. Or you didn't expect him to be explosive, as you know him. So yeah, and it only took him 15 minutes or less on the field, and actually when I saw him limping, I said, here we go again. And now if you lose such players, you lose Ash, and if you recall, you will remember, to say that Ash at one stage he was out when we needed him for very, very important games. Kama, and most of the senior players as well, were not available due to injuries, due to sickness, and as I've alluded, unforeseen circumstances, personal reasons, and we had to obviously, play our part as a club and to make sure that they're in the right frame of mind whenever they are given the opportunity to play or whenever they are available to play. So yeah, it's been a story of our season where we couldn't have consistent lineup. Why? Because of those injuries. And as much as we wanted to build the team around a certain core of individuals, we couldn't, because those experienced players, those quality players were not available. And now the responsibility was on the shoulders of the young stars now to rise to the occasion. And at some point they were bound to crack, because of the pressure. And yeah, that has been the case.
We'll close with you, sir. Yeah, Prophet.
Coach, fifth place finish, how do you close the gap? Because you've been in the game long enough to know that those above you are most definitely going to try to beef up as well to try and improve the team. You also mentioned injuries and other variables which are possible in the next season as well. Players can get injured, unforeseen circumstances and that.
Yeah, look, we have identified a few individuals, and some we managed to get them, some the team is still trying to make sure that they get them. But again, it boils down to one thing, as you said, can they cope with the pressure, of playing for a team of Kaizer Chiefs caliber? And look, it leaves one with thinking a lot, and we never stop working hard. We never stop. This is a season that we've learned a lot out of it in terms of bringing in players and also releasing certain players. We've learned a lot out of it, and as much as there were negatives, but also there were a lot of positives that can help us, moving forward. And yeah, we will see whom we bring on board to come and help the team. But again, it's a case of quality. If the quality is available, then we'll go over it. It's always been a difficult situation for the club. Whenever we look for a player, when we approach other teams, then they make it difficult for us to get that player, because obviously the competition as well is very, very stiff. So yeah, we just have to, find a way to help players. And one of the reasons we resorted to the development was because of that. We didn't want to rely more on what other teams can give us when we want those players. We also wanted to help our youngsters from the development, to get the opportunity to play, of which most of them, when they were given the opportunity, I think they exerted themselves, and they will grow from here. Yes, it's been a bad season, a season that we didn't want to see us finish, fifth, but there were a lot of positives, and more especially the youngsters coming, even though they were blowing hot and cold. It's simply because of the demands. And as I said, it would have been nice if the core of the players that we have had a plan for, to say these are the ones that are going to guide the youngsters. They obviously now the transition will be smooth. And unfortunately, we lost nearly 80% of the core. So now we had to rely on them, and they had to now grab the opportunity. And as I said, that at some point they had to crack because of being inexperienced and the demands of the game as well.
Thanks, Coach. So,
Coach, two questions. One, following what happened last week, and obviously the way you are ending the season, are you certain and confident that you will continue as head coach of Kaizer Chiefs next season? And two, maybe an explanation of what happened to a player that you were playing regularly, but of late he's been sitting on the bench. Kunika Zita, what happened?
Okay. Look, I'm one person. I'm a believer. I'm a hard worker. If there's one thing that football taught me, is never be in the game if you don't have a big heart. In football, you develop a thick skin. I'm not the first one that has been in this situation. I've seen coaches, maybe struggle in their first season, then they come up different in the following season. And yes, as I said earlier on, that it was more like a learning season for me, for the fact that me now being the head, making decisions, obviously with the help of other technical team members, but I've always been the supporting, member of the team, supporting other coaches that have been here before. So this time around, I had to do things the way I think it will help the team. And as much as it was a learning season, but it was a very, I would say, productive one in terms of learning things that I know that, maybe we should have done this, should have done that, because that's the only way. When you do introspection, you always know, this is what we should have done here, this is what we can do going forward, and in terms of players that should come in. And now you learn that, okay, maybe this has got talent, but it doesn't have the character. So now we'll look for a character more than the talent. I'm just making an example. Yes, so because for Kaizer Chiefs, you need players that can dig deeper. Because other teams, they triple, they double, they triple their efforts when they play against Chiefs. The very same players that we actually sometimes want to bring to Kaizer Chiefs, they do well against us, and when they come to Kaizer Chiefs, they're different players because they can't cope, as I said, they can't cope with the pressure and the demands of playing for the team of Kaizer Chiefs caliber. And because other teams, maybe they play, the target maybe is against Pirates, Sundowns, and Kaizer Chiefs. And then other teams, you can get away with it, whether you win or you lose. So that inconsistency, they can survive there. But yet Kaizer Chiefs, it's 30 plus games, if not 40, that you have to be consistent. At least give us 20. And yes, this season you must have seen, injuries were too many, and the performance was fluctuating. So those are part of the game. We understand. That's why we're here as coaches, and just to help the players, develop and be better. And coming to Zita, unfortunately, as you could have seen, you look at all the goals that you considered this season. The entire defense, the entire defense let us down. They let themselves down. They let the team down, and hence we started now changing. This time it was Dove. Dove is a left back, but because we wanted that balance of play, we wanted someone also who can, help with the organization. So at some point we were one-dimensional when we were building up from the back with Zita, because he's a right-footed player playing on the left. So the oppositions, whenever we were building up, they could channel us to one direction and trap us there. And that's how we actually considered some of the goals, early in the season. And when we thought we got better when we got Dove, while we were looking for a left centre back we couldn't get at that time who could come and help, we had to say, okay, let's come up with that plan. Now, let's move it over there because it's got the quality as well. In the national team, he's playing, at some point, he was playing as a centre back, because we still had the experience of Hlanti. And you could see also with Hlanti, his performance was because of the age, the games were too many for him. He needed someone to help him sometimes so that we make sure that when he is on the field, he's fresh. But unfortunately, we also relied on him too much because of his experience. And at some point, we were badly exposed, because of that. The recovery was always going to be slow. And at some point, we lost two. We lost Riv and Sole at one time. Last week, more or less the same situation. Dove collided with Hlanti, and my fear was let's not lose them both at once, and fortunately we only lost Dove, but Hlanti was available for this one. But you could see today Hlanti was also a bit flat. As I said, he played the extra time against Pirates. So in terms of that balance, we had challenges, and yes, Zita. Because of that, maybe we look at the goals that we considered like individual errors only. Possibly 80% of those goals, were giveaway. And not only Zita. Even when Dove was playing, I think he also had a fair share. Sia early in the season. So, yeah, Mapolova as well early in the season. So it's always been that challenge. Against a game against, was it Supersport? There's a game, I think it was here. I can't remember. There's too many things now in my head. Where Mapolova tried to clear the ball and hit the striker and then they go and score. So you look at all those. The ball was covered in terms of the shape and the structure. We're in the right places, but we tend to give the ball away cheaply. And unfortunately, those teams, when we make those mistakes, they punish us. And when we force them to make those mistakes, we don't punish them. And even when we create the chances, we don't punish them. So, yeah, we paid the price, but it was a very hard learning, and we move on. Sometimes it's good to learn like this. It makes you a better person.